Okay, so all week we have been talking about whether or not you should go online right now to try and make up a new revenue stream. And I want to tell you today a little bit about how to know what kind of dollars you are likely to make based on your existing audience. Now, if you don't have an existing audience, I recommend going back and watching the video from Monday about why I don't think it's a great idea to try to bring your business online right now if you have no audience. I don't recommend starting a digital business or a digital revenue stream for a brand new business or if you have no audience at this moment, unless you have some major backup. But if you do have an audience, let's talk about how to get an idea about how much money you are likely to make with an online revenue stream. So we get there by answering the 1 to 10% rule. This surprises people. It surprises even some of the people that I work with who have been in e-commerce or in digital courses for a long time. In fact, I was just having a conversation with someone a couple of days ago who has an audience of about 40,000 people on an email list and on some social media platforms. And she was running a promotion where she was surprised that only about 40 people signed up. And I kind of looked at her and I was like, well, actually, that's about right. That's about where I would expect you to be based on what you're offering and the engagement level of your audience. And she was pretty surprised about that. And she's been in this space for a long time. So if you don't have an online business, it might surprise you a lot what you can expect in this space when you are bringing a product or a service online. So it's a 1 to 10% rule, meaning whatever the size of your audience is, you can expect that 1 to 10% of them will buy whatever it is you have to offer. And there's two factors that really impact whether or not you're at the 1% end or the 10% end. But before we get there, I want to have you really stop and think about what the size of your audience is and whether 1 to 10% is going to be enough to make it worthwhile to you to do this thing, at least in the short term. So if you have an audience of 500 people, 1% of 500 is what? About 5 people, right? So if your audience is not very engaged and you have a 1% audience, sorry, I'm looking over there. My kid keeps walking in and out while I'm doing this. Adventures in homeschooling, right? If 1% of your audience is looking at what you have and purchasing what you have, and you have an audience of 500 people, that's like 500 people on an email list or 500 Facebook followers, then you probably are needing a price point on your item that is a little bit higher, right? If you have an audience of maybe 5,000 people or 50,000 people, then your price point could be a little bit lower and you could still make some money. So even at the 10% range, if you've only got an audience of 500, that's only 50 people. Now, that allows you to back into what is the price point on what you're planning to offer, and does that make you a reasonable small amount of income in this moment? So let's think about it this way. If I am a fitness center or a yoga studio or a restaurant like we talked about yesterday, and I'm going to offer online classes of some sort, if I'm offering streaming or a subscription service or a group format, my price point is probably going to be in the neighborhood of $10 to $50 a month. $50 a month is about the top of what you can charge for that thing. If my audience is 500 and I'm expecting that they're really, really engaged, so I'm going to be able to hit the top of that. Tristan, how about you close the door? Sorry about that. Again, Adventures in Homeschooling. So if I'm going to hit the very top of that level, that 10%, that 50 people at the very top, $50 a month, is that going to be enough? So $50 a month times 50 people, that's $2,500. That's not too bad, right? In order to hit that, you would have to be really audience engaged, if 10% of your 500 followers are going to subscribe to a $50 a month subscription, which is a higher end online subscription, guys. Most of these subscriptions are in the $10 to $20 range. They need to be hyper engaged. So you need to ask yourself, how engaged are they really? If they are really engaged, meaning they comment on all your posts, they're really consuming everything that you put out there, they open all your emails, they are already paying you in person, maybe you can make that happen. A more realistic number to look at is probably something in the neighborhood of a $20 a month project, a $20 a month product. That's more in the range that most of these products run in, and getting 20 people to do it. So if we say 20 people for $20 a month, that's $400 a month. That's a big difference, right? So what I want you to do is look at these numbers for your business and be realistic about it. How engaged is your audience? And a good way to look at this is if you go back to your last 10 or 20 Facebook posts, if you go back to your last 10 or 20 emails that were sent out, how many people engaged with it? How many comments do you have? That's going to give you a little bit of an indicator. Email is better than Facebook because we all know that on your Facebook page, at this point, it is a pay-to-play platform, which means you have to pay for the audience that already finds you to see you. But especially if you're sending out emails, if you don't see those open rates in the at least 25 to 30%, that's telling you that your audience is not hyper engaged, and you should expect to be down more in the 1 to 2% range for what your conversions are going to be. Now, if you understand the 1 to 10% rule, it's then easier to understand why a higher dollar, more private thing is actually easier for you to make income out of. Because I think we're afraid usually to charge a higher dollar amount, especially in moments like this. But the reality is that it's easier to get 5 people to give you $500 than it is to get 500 people to give you $5. So if you have a small audience, 500 people, 400 people, on your email list, your Facebook page, even 100 people, if you can get 1% of them to give you $50 a session or $150 for a date night cooking class or something like that, you probably can make a little bit of income to help you survive. And it's probably easier to get, not probably, it is easier to get 5 people to give you a larger amount of money than it is to get lots of people to join your subscription. So one of the things that I'm telling most of my clients that I have advised to go online right now is, yes, do free classes. Yes, think about a scalable streaming platform or something in the low price point. But really where you're going to make income to help you survive right now is by finding a handful of people who want to do some kind of virtual work with you. 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 people in your audience, that 1% of your audience perhaps, that will hire you for private yoga sessions or video personal training or private cooking lessons, or maybe to have you deliver food without any contact that's pre-cooked to their house, or whatever the thing may be. Those are a lot easier to make a survivable amount of income in a very short amount of time than scaling up a whole platform. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't perhaps try to do that. For instance, I work with one yoga studio that I've recommended that they start a subscription service, knowing full well that that's not going to be their surviving income during this time. So if you are someone who normally does in-person service with people, the easiest way to quickly make some income online is to find a handful of people that will hire you once a week or twice a week or whatever the case may be to help them. And I'll give you an example of this. I work with a personal trainer. I want to work with a personal trainer online because I don't want to lose the gains that I've been making. I want to continue to go forward, and I know myself well enough to know that I need the accountability of the trainer in order to do my best work in my sessions. So I don't care if that training is happening through like Zoom or something right now. I just need it to continue happening, right? So if you're a personal trainer who normally works with people in a gym, there's no reason why you can't teach them bodyweight work online. If you are a yoga teacher, same thing. If you are a coach or a accountant or anything like that, you can do these same things virtually. And again, in other businesses, it may have to be more creative. But a lot of us right now, just like we talked about yesterday, do still have income coming in and are really looking to continue working with people. Again, I just want to say the same thing I said yesterday, that I have seen so many people over the last few days that are just kind of shut down, and it's causing them to miss opportunities where I am saying, I still want to hire you. I still want to give you money. Let's do this work. And they just can't hear it because they're shut down in fear. So I really don't want that to happen to any of you. So ask yourself, how engaged is my audience? That's going to help you to understand, based on your audience size and their engagement, whether going online is realistic for you and how much dollars you can expect to make. If you have a very small audience, and I consider this less than 300 people on an email list, the only way that this is going to work for you, if you have less than 300 people on an email list, is if it is a higher ticket item where you only need a few people to opt into it in order to get you to that survivable income level. Because the reality is, on a tiny list like that, a product that is $10 a month or 20 or 30 or even 50 is just not going to get you enough survivable income in this moment. And you need to be realistic about that. Because again, I'm seeing so many people saying, oh, start your online business, but it takes a long time to build an audience. So this is a really great time to build an audience. If you're at home and you're bored and you have income or you just don't have anything else to do, absolutely start working on that online business that you said you wanted, knowing that you're audience building, not making money. But if you need to make money right now from an online thing, it really requires that you already have an audience, ideally on an email list, and less ideally, but still possible, on a Facebook account or IG account or something like that. If you have an audience of at least a few hundred, you can make money right now. If you have an audience of thousands, you can make money on a more scalable product, like a $10 or a $20 a month product, but you need to be realistic about what your audience size needs to be in order to make some type of a subscription model really work for you. Because again, this is not a place where a lot of people are honest about what it really takes in terms of audience size to make money on subscription model products. Yeah, they're easy to set up, but getting people into them is a whole nother thing. And running them on 5 people or 10 people is really, really painful because you don't have people engaging with each other. So it's all you dragging them along. So look at your audience size and think about 1 to 10% of that audience purchasing what you have. I would go on the more conservative side and say 1 to 2%. And then if you are surprised in a positive way, great. So if you have an audience that can support some income on 1 to 2% of purchasing, great. Now is a great time for you to start an online thing. And I'd love to help you do that. As we talked about yesterday, I'm going to post a form here in the comments for, we are working with a handful of people to help them get set up really, really fast. So if you have, 10 to 20 hours a week right now to work on this, you can fill out, and you have an audience, you can fill out this form and we'd love to help you. If you don't, but you are still curious about how this works, I'm going to also post one more link here which is to Kajabi. This is the platform that I use for my online courses and things like that. And Kajabi has this great 28-day challenge that you can use to work through this process on your own. So both of those are in the links below to help you out. And if you have any questions, comments, I would love to chat with you. Again, I know this is a really tough moment for people, and there are a lot of people out there giving good advice about how to survive this from an emotional and energetic place. Like my friend Lori Bainham, my friend Elizabeth D'Alto, and we've got podcasts on Small Stage Big Impact coming out from them about those topics tomorrow and for the next couple of weeks. But what I wanted to give people here, because I'm not seeing a lot of it, is really practical advice on how to make money online, or whether you should try to make money online for your local business during this moment. So I hope this was useful to you, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.